When people say banning trans women from sports is about protecting women, it sounds reasonable at first. Protection sounds caring, responsible, even compassionate. But the framing depends on a few assumptions most people never stop to question. Because once you slow it down, a lot of those assumptions start to fall apart. And what's left behind doesn't look like protection. It looks like something older. So instead of arguing headlines, let's walk through the logic step by step. Not to pick a side, just to be precise. When a policy says it's about protecting women, the first question should be simple. Protecting women from what? Because protection usually means one of two things. Either there's proven harm already happening, or someone assumes women can't navigate risk on their own. And those are very different claims. Women already navigate risk constantly in work, in sports, in public life. We compete, we train, we make trade offs. So when protection removes choice instead of expanding it, it stops being about safety. It starts being about control. A lot of rules said to protect women only make sense if women are assumed to be fragile. They treat strength like an exception, competition like a danger, any difference like a threat. But women's sports were never built on the idea that women are weak. They were built on the idea that women deserve equal opportunity to compete. And there's a big difference between women are weaker and need a shielding, and women deserve space and resources to compete fairly. One is empowerment, the other is a stereotype dressed up as policy. If an argument only works when women are treated as inherently vulnerable, it isn't protecting women. It's recycling an old story about what women are supposed to be. There's another thing that gets skipped a lot. Sports already manage differences all the time through weight classes, age divisions, skill brackets, equipment roles, drug testing, and oversight. Fairness in sports has never meant everyone identical. It means structured categories. It means regulation. It means nuance. So when fairness suddenly becomes exclude this one group entirely, that's not simplification. That's something else. Because if sports can handle height differences, strength differences, training differences, and funding differences, the idea that one category of women uniquely breaks fairness doesn't really line up with how sports actually work. And historically, this pattern isn't new. Womanhood has often been defined by exclusion. At different times, black women, disabled women, lesbian women, and poor women have all been told in different ways that they didn't quite count. That including them somehow ruins things. The criteria change, but the logic stays the same. The category shrinks, control expands. So when debates focus heavily on deciding which women qualify, it's worth noticing that we've seen this before, and it rarely ends with more freedom for women. And here's the part that gets lost the most. If the goal is really protecting women's sports, we should probably talk about what actually harms women athletes. Because usually isn't inclusion. It's things like underfunding, fewer scholarships, worse facilities, lower pay, less media coverage, fewer coaching opportunities, sexual abuse scandals that go ignored for years, medical neglect, lack of maternity protections. Those are measurable harms. Those are documented. Those are happening right now. But notice how rarely those issues dominate headlines. No one is proposing emergency legislation about locker room funding gaps, or unequal training resources, or the fact that many girls' teams still get secondhand equipment. So when the loudest political energy goes towards excluding a tiny number of athletes instead of fixing systemic problems affecting millions of women, it raises a question. Is this really about protecting women? Or is it about something that sounds easier to argue about? Because solving real inequity takes investment. Exclusion just takes a rule. And rules are cheaper than change. When you look at the full picture, these debates follow a pattern. A claim of protection, an assumption of fragility, a rule that limits participation, and a group blamed for the harm. The language changes, but the logic doesn't. Fear gets reframed as safety. Control gets reframed as care. And women are told it's for our own good. Again. So if we want to protect women's sports, the conversation probably shouldn't start with exclusion. It should start with resources, funding, access, fair treatment, and actually listening to women themselves. Because protection that depends on limiting who women can be isn't protection, it's management. And women have had enough of that. Real support doesn't shrink the category, it strengthens the people inside it. And that's a very different goal.